Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dan Hanford, and my wife, Danae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur.
Today on the podcast, we have Dyer. She is a marketing professional in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the founder of Ely Branding, which specializes in social media for small business. Catherine, thank you very much for being on with us, and we're looking forward to talking with you today.
Hey guys, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, Catherine, I want you to start us off by talking to us a little bit about what your current focus is right now as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so as an entrepreneur, my current focus is really broadening the number of clients I have. I spend about, I would say, 30% of my time focused on working on current client work, and then 70% of my time reaching out to potential clients.
So I want you to kind of walk us through, you and I first met in Charlotte. I had a real estate meetup going on there, and I had met you in the shared workspace called Packard Place up there. I like your story, and I want to kind of dive into a little bit. But so I know you're kind of a new business. This is kind of a startup for you. Let's try to focus on one tough decision that you've had to make that so far didn't really have that good of an outcome.
Sure. So I think the toughest decision is targeting my audience and finding new clients. So the toughest decisions that haven't worked out are targeting a certain market that hasn't worked out. When I first started doing social media on the side, I was interning in marketing and graphic design. And as an entrepreneur in Charlotte, came to the company I was at looking for someone to do social media. So that's how I got into it. And I started getting clients by referrals. And ultimately, I think that, that's what you want, that you're not having to do the work to go out there and find clients. But realistically, I think that I didn't start out with the best business plan of targeting certain markets. So I thought that I would have a little bit more referral basis than I did, just because not everyone's looking for social media. It's kind of a last minute add-on, I think, to people's marketing budgets, or people can do it for themselves, or they just may not make room in their budget to do it for their business right away as a small business. So the referrals just didn't come in as much as I thought they would. So that was probably my hardest thing that I had to learn doing this. But since then, like you mentioned, I met you at Packard Place, which is the hub for startups in Charlotte, and just basically everything startup in Charlotte, any kind of resources or information, that kind of thing. So I started networking there and really found that, targeting startups in the atmosphere that they're going to for information was a great place to start targeting people. So I had to adjust what I was doing to get clients, basically.
So let's kind of step back for just a minute and talk about that, tough decision, because I think there's several different things that I'm kind of thinking about in my head that, the listeners can definitely glean from. So first off, when you made the decision to target the particular market that you were going after, did you do some really detailed market research on that? Or was it a market that you were kind of close to? Or what was your thought process for choosing that market that didn't turn out so well?
Well, I think, no, I didn't do market research in that. I was sending out surveys and that kind of thing, which is another, hard lesson to learn. But I was working for startups in Charlotte for about 2 years. So contracting or interning, that kind of thing. So I had a lot of experience with different startups, and it was a close, a close network to me, and near and dear to my heart and kind of my passion. So I had experience and had networks with these different startups or worked for them. But, again, I was still a lot of the referral basis that I had been getting work from. Those were more solopreneurs or maybe even more aesthetic social media, not as business professional social media. Whereas, some of the actual contract work that I'd done had been for a larger business, maybe had 10 employees and needed more business professional social media.
So you actually had to start marketing yourself then, I guess, and who you were and your experience and so on.
Exactly. So really learning how to market myself, I think, and how to interact, find those people that are potentially looking for social media.
There's a lot of lessons that, I know that especially in the beginning stages of a business and the startup phases that you learn, how to do things the right way. And also, you learn things that you did the right way and how to do those better. And so I think, the biggest lesson from that tough decision, I would say, from what I can see, looking from the outside, looking in, would be that, for those of you, who are listening, who are thinking about starting a business, no matter what it is, sometimes just because that market is close to you does not necessarily mean it's the best market for you to go into or for you to start to market to, try to sell to. Sometimes, you need to do some market research, but also maybe look and open up your channels a little bit to see, are there areas that you can actually, expand into. And so, Catherine, I want you to dive into another tough decision that you've had that had a really good and positive outcome for you so far, and some of the lessons you learned through that one.
Yeah, so I think another tough decision was, okay, you've got all of a sudden you have decided to go full throttle into your business, and each day you have ahead of you, your schedule's open. So you have to figure out how to fill it. And whether that's going to networking events or setting up meetings with people or stopping by businesses with your business card, so figuring out that schedule was, there's kind of a learning experience there. And the biggest takeaway I got that was beneficial to me was holding a weekly standing meeting with a mentor or someone that has vested interest in you. So I met with a friend of mine who was from Charlotte, his dad, and the dad is in real estate. And so this gentleman, works from home, kind of has time on his hands, is partially retired. So I started meeting with him weekly, not only because he had a great network, but also because he cared about entrepreneurism and it was a big interest, it was really interesting to him. So he really liked solving problems and wanted to meet with me weekly to help me, talk through my business plan, talk about my pros and cons from the week before, looking at reaching out to people, trying different methods to reach out to people and finding different markets. So really it also, just really gave me a purpose each week. So I really think that was my biggest takeaway. And I think you can find someone like that either through your friends or maybe even through the local university or community college or even an interest group. So there are a lot of people out there that want to do that. And some of them do actually have time on their hands to do it, I think.
Accountability and that having someone to kind of guide you through, those beginning stages, I think is really important. Something else you kind of touched on was, the way you're using your time. And I thought back to, a lot of people think that working from home or being an entrepreneur is, doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But if you do that very long, you're not going to make a lot of money. I love being able to work from home, but it is not easy to focus. And actually, it's, a constant struggle to actually make sure your time is productive because there's so many things pulling at you. So I think that's something else that, people should think about before they start working on their own and for themselves, because, you really have to have a plan in place, which it sounds like you do now.
I definitely have a very good schedule. I love the co-working space that I work out of, which is also a great recommendation, especially finding a co-working space where maybe people are kind of in the same size, they're kind of have the same business setup as you. I think that also really helps.
We're going to take a quick break and hear from one of our show sponsors. When we come back, we will talk to Catherine about her favorites as they relate to her life as an entrepreneur.
Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HanfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORDCAPITAL.com. FORD capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit hanfordcapital.com. All right, we are back with the trifecta, which is a series of quick questions and answers that we're going to be asking Catherine. So first off, Catherine, can you start us off and tell us what is your most favorite technology that you use that helps make your life easier?
Well, first of all, I use a MacBook Air. And since I do work with graphics, I use Adobe, that kind of thing. I am a Mac user. I do have a few helpful little tools. One thing that I love is I even have on my Gmail, I have a mail timer. And after about 2 minutes, gives you a pop-up notification that you've been in that email for 2 minutes and it's time to move on to the next email. So that's my favorite little, Chrome add-on that I have.
Oh, I've never heard of that. That's interesting. We talked to somebody not too long ago they were talking about a snooze on their email. And so I think you could set the snooze and it would basically set up an automatic reply to anybody who emailed you. An email would come in and you could snooze it so that it would basically show as unread and it would pop back up, a week from now or 2 weeks or whatever. We were talking about how that would be kind of a cool feature to use. What is a favorite quote that you've heard that's helped you as an entrepreneur?
Let's see. I wrote down a few quotes the other day. I think the one that I read the other day that I liked was Venus Williams said, the way she handles stress is just don't think about it. So take each day one at a time, and instead of over analyzing, maybe a proposal to a client, a potential client that you really want, and maybe you have this proposal that you've been preparing and you want to send it in and you're waiting to hear back from them, instead of just getting much into it and analyzing it, just don't think about it. Go with your day, each day, and break it down hour by hour and just stay focused.
And what's a favorite book that you've read so far that you would recommend for the audience?
I recently just read, let's see. Well, I actually have not dived into it, but the one that's coming to mind is the Social Media Charlotte nonprofit group that I'm a part of on the board for. We have a book club that we just started, and we chose our next book to be Hug Your Haters. So it came highly recommended, and I have not gotten to start it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there as my recommendation.
Hug Your Haters. Do you know who the author is of that one? Or
I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay. We'll look it up and make sure that we can put it in the show notes for the show that the listeners can find at toughdecisions.net. What's the next thing for you right now on your vision or your dream board, Catherine?
Let's see. I think right now is, I think getting to the point where I need an intern. That's kind of my goal, because I want to have built up enough clients to where I'm managed, have enough clients to where I'm like, okay, I need a second set of hands and can help teach someone else something that I'm passionate about and work together with someone, because I like working. I love working with other people, but I just also think that would be kind of like a benchmark for me. So we will see. I have an estimate of number of clients that would be at, but I'm not going to say how many, but we'll see if that's actually when it hits. So.
Sure. Well, how can the listeners reach out to you if they want to, find out more information about you and what you're doing right now and kind of stay in touch with you?
Sure. I am happy to talk to people anytime. Check my Instagram, which is just at Ely Branding is my handle. Then you can email me, elybranding@gmail.com, or you can call me by phone or text me 336-817-5525. But I'm a big fan of just the direct message on Instagram to get in contact with someone or shoot them, a quick idea or a quick question to see if you can collaborate or work together.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Catherine, I want to thank you for taking some time out of your schedule to be with us today on the podcast. Danae and I both look forward to having you on a future episode as you continue to grow as an entrepreneur.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and I appreciate your tips.
Yep.
Love your podcast.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay. You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.